Hello, my name is Daurys Ramirez Jesus. I am a sophomore at Commonwealth University Bloomsburg. I am a computer science major, and today I will be talking about data colonialism. I chose this topic because of its closeness to my major, but also because it blends technology, economics, politics, and civil rights, as well as it shows the broader impact of computing in our modern society. To get started, data colonialism refers to the idea that powerful technology companies and wealthy nations dominate the data, digital infrastructure, and online economies of developing countries, similar to how colonial powers historically controlled resources and markets. Although many people have argued that the term data colonialism is inappropriate because historically colonialism cannot exist without violence, parallels to historical colonialism are still evident. This is because instead of controlling land or minerals, modern power is exercised through data collection, digital infrastructure, online platforms, and cloud computing. So, first, we're going to talk about threat to sovereignty. So, just like historical colonialism, data colonialism imposes a threat to sovereignty. Today's tech giants and superpowers fight to control the flow of information, and that constant struggle has major implications for national sovereignty. More specifically, it poses a threat to data sovereignty, which means a country's ability to govern where its citizens' data lives and where it flows. However, when foreign companies build or own the networks, clouds, and cables of a nation, that sovereignty erodes away from the hands of the government. This means that data is increasingly freely controlled by corporations, and nations can provide protection for the data of its citizens. All right. And now we're going to talk about power through infrastructure. Most developing countries cloud services, where governments and companies hold sensitive data, are owned by a few American corporations such as AWS, Google, and Microsoft. In Latin America, for example, Amazon Web Services, AWS, dominates government and business cloud contracts, which means that any US pressure on AWS could expose Latin American data to foreign leverage. The same can be said for African nations' dependencies on Chinese companies such as Huawei and CTC. Another example of this is Facebook's Free Basics program in Africa, which was a project offering free access to a curated, low bandwidth set of websites, including Facebook, health, and news services, via phones without data charges. However, critics argued it locked users into Facebook's ecosystem and stifled local content, further strengthening Facebook's control over the region. Furthermore, we're going to talk about the economic impact of data colonization. So, data colonization also impacts the global and local economy in developing countries because data, once extracted, is often monetized or used to manipulate consumers through targeted advertisements, which perpetuates economic dependency and reinforces the dominance of these companies in global markets. Furthermore, local businesses and governments in developing countries may struggle to compete with these global entities, not only because of the technological edge that they have, but also because of their control over a vast pool of data, which concentrates wealth to dominant, often, very often, Western based platforms, which widens global inequality. So, what are some possible solutions? Some possible solutions to data colonization includes strengthening data protection laws. So, governments in developing nations should focus on establishing and enforcing strong data protection laws to protect the privacy of its citizens. This would help avoid exploitation from international corporations. Also, promoting digital sovereignty and local alternatives. Developing countries should invest in creating their own digital infrastructures and services to reduce reliance on foreign platforms. This is already taking place in countries like India, Germany, France, and Estonia. In India, the government started requiring data to be stored on domestic servers. This is called data localization and started building its own digital public infrastructure called the Aadhaar ID system and payment networks to reduce reliance on foreign platforms. In Europe, there exist initiatives like Gaia X, a German French project to create a homegrown cloud services federation. And lastly, Estonia has built data embassies, which are government servers hosted on allied soils. So national systems remain under Estonian law regardless of location. And in conclusion, data colonization is the appropriation of human life through massive data extraction, where corporations and governments treat personal data as a free resource to be harvested and used to gain power in developing countries. This means that if left unchecked, digital colonization risks deepening global inequality and making it essential for nations to fight for digital sovereignty, fair access, and control over their own data and technological futures. That is all I have for today, and thank you for watching.